The manicured lawns of Willow Creek, a gated suburb in Colorado Springs, gleamed under the July 2024 sun, each blade trimmed like it was prepping for a military inspection. I'd just bought a house here, cash, after a decade in the Marines, dreaming of a quiet life for my aging parents. My mom tending roses on the porch, my dad snoring by the window. That was the plan. But 3 hours after pulling my U-Haul into the driveway, I was staring down a phone camera, a kid barking for my ID, and his mom waving her husband's police badge like it was a golden ticket. I hadn't even unpacked my coffee maker. What unfolded next was so wild, I wouldn't have believed it if it wasn't all caught on a live stream. I'm Carlos Rivera, a 34-year-old veteran who thought Willow Creek's HOA rulebook was the worst I'd face. I was wrong. The trouble started as I hauled boxes from the truck. Across the street, a kid maybe 20, with gelled hair and a TikTok-ready setup pointed his phone at me, tripod and ring lights screaming content creator. At first, I thought he was just filming neighborhood vibes, but then I caught his voice. New guy looks shady, chat. What's he hiding? My hands froze on a box. 2 hours in my new home, and I'm already breaking news? The kid, Ethan Harper, jogged over, phone still rolling. Yo, chat, sketchy dude alert, he announced, turning my move-in into his personal reality show. Before I could process this, his mother, Cynthia Harper, appeared, clutching a clipboard, her smile sharp enough to cut glass. Welcome to our community, she said, her tone implying I'd snuck past a border checkpoint. I introduced myself, Carlos, Marine vet, here to care for my parents. Her smile tightened. What do you do, Carlos? She asked, eyeing my truck like it was evidence in a crime scene. I kept it vague. Cybersecurity consulting for the government. Most people nod and move on. Not Cynthia. Government? Like janitorial work. Ethan chimed in, smirking for his camera. I clarified, calmly, that I secure computer systems, but Ethan laughed like I'd claimed to be an astronaut. Cynthia didn't correct him. Instead, she grilled me. How'd I afford the house? Did I know the HOA rules? When I mentioned my Marine days, hoping to find common ground, her eyes narrowed. This is civilian life now, she snapped, as if my service was a stain I should have scrubbed off. Then she suggested, all neighborly, that I show ID. I declined politely, mind you saying I didn't need to prove myself to carry boxes into my own house. Ethan pounced. Won't show ID? Zeus, he told his stream. I noticed the HOA camera on the corner swiveling toward me, like someone was watching live. This wasn't a welcome. It was an ambush. I thanked them and went inside, hearing Cynthia mutter, we'll see how long he lasts, as Ethan narrated my retreat for his followers. I stood in my empty living room, military ID in hand, wondering what I'd walked into. I'd fought for freedom overseas, only to have civilians demand my papers in suburbia. By day 3, Ethan was back, phone out, older. He planted himself between me and my mailbox, demanding ID like he was Border Patrol. Why? I asked, calm but firm. His answer hit like a sucker punch. People like you steal in nice neighborhoods. The phrase people like you hung there, raw and ugly. I wanted to toss his phone into the shrubs, but 10 years of de-escalation training kicked in. Don't react. Assess. This kid was performing for clout, banking on me snapping for his viral moment. Instead, I laid my driver's license on my truck's hood, letting his camera catch my address. Then I pulled out my military ID, Sergeant Carlos Rivera, 2 tours in Iraq, combat medals earned in blood. Read it, I said quietly. His smirk faded as he processed the ribbons, the official seals. His stream's robotic voice read comments. Bro, you messed up. That's a war hero. Ethan swiped at his screen, flustered, as his chat turned on him. Cynthia swooped in, summoned by her son's call. I expected an apology. Instead, she doubled down. Military service doesn't mean you're above our rules, she said, spitting military like it was a slur. She claimed her husband, Detective Greg Harper, would check my background. Ethan, still filming, grew defensive as his viewers called him out. Respect the vet, dude. You're the problem. Neighbors peeked from windows, but no one stepped in. Fear of the Harpers' influence kept them silent. Cynthia threatened to call Greg, and Ethan gloated to his camera, my stepdad's gonna handle this guy. They had no clue they were about to step on a landmine. Greg rolled up in his cruiser, badge gleaming, parking in my driveway like he owned it. He was all soft gut and hard eyes, the kind of cop who leans on his gun to win arguments. "Son," he said, dripping condescension, "you're not cooperating with neighborhood safety." I stood at attention habit from years of service and explained I'd shown my ID to clear up Ethan's nonsense. Greg glanced at my military ID, and for a split second, his bravado cracked. He saw the medals, the rank. Then he rallied. "This ain't a base, Rivera. My turf, my rules." I told him I wasn't asking for special treatment, just the right to live without harassment for my skin color. He shrugged. "Show ID when asked, and we're good." His dismissal of my service stung worse than Ethan's slurs. This was a cop, sworn to protect, treating my decade in combat like a hobby. I planted a seed. "Got Marine buddies in local departments," I said casually. "They might not like how you're treating a vet." Greg's eyes flickered. "What buddies?" he asked, trying to sound unbothered. I mentioned a friend in county patrol, letting the implication hang. Word spreads fast among veterans. Neighbors watched, including an older man down the block, definitely ex-military by his stance, his arms crossed, judging Greg silently. Greg left, promising to handle this later, but I could see the worry in his eyes. He was starting to realize his badge might not shield him. The next morning, the old man, Henry Walsh, walked over as I sipped coffee on my porch. He had the gait of someone who'd humped gear through jungles. "Vietnam, 101st Airborne," he said, no preamble. "Saw what went down. We don't tolerate cops dissing our brothers." Henry handed me a folder, 3 years of notes on the Harper's harassment of anyone who didn't fit their white picket fence ideal. Families driven out, Vietnamese, black, elderly. All targeted, all scared off by Greg's badge and Cynthia's clipboard. Henry's evidence was damning, but no one had challenged the Harpers until now. By afternoon, I met Ellen Carter, whose late husband was Navy. She'd tracked Cynthia's HOA abuses for 2 years, selective fines, fake complaints, always against minorities. The veteran network was waking up, and calls came from strangers, me county buddy, a state trooper, all checking in. This wasn't just my fight anymore. That Friday, Henry hosted a neighborhood watch in his garage. 5 of us, Army, Navy, a retired cop, passed around papers, circled names. Henry's words stuck. "We've lost brothers before." Not to some HOA tyrant. Cynthia, sensing resistance, called an emergency HOA meeting to address security threats. She met me. The community center was packed, tension thick as fog. Cynthia stood at a table, Greg in uniform beside her for intimidation, Ethan filming for his dwindling fan base. Her slideshow photos of me checking mail, hosting friends was a masterclass in coded racism, labeling my normal life suspicious. When she opened the floor, Henry stood, voice like gravel. "This man's a war hero who fought while your kid played Fortnite. I've got 3 years of your family's racist garbage on record." Ellen followed, her data shredding Cynthia's facade. Minority families targeted, white ones ignored. Ethan's stream imploded, comments raging. "Your family's the problem. Respect the vet." I hadn't planned to speak, but when Cynthia called me a threat, I stood, Marine bearing intact. "I served 10 years for your freedom," I said, locking eyes with her. "Including the right to live without racial harassment." Veterans roared support. HOA board members squirmed, one muttering, "This isn't what I signed up for." Cynthia, panicking, pointed at me. "I'm calling 911, she barked, dialing with a smug grin, sure the police would back her. 2 patrol cars screeched in, lights flashing. Officers Martinez and Thompson stepped out, calm but alert. Cynthia rushed them, clipboard in hand. "He's trespassing, threatening us," she cried, playing the victim. I sat on the curb, hands visible, military ID ready. Martinez, maybe a vet himself by his posture, took my IDs. He read aloud. "Sergeant Rivera, Iraq veteran, combat medals." His tone shifted, respect, not procedure. He turned to Thompson, who nodded. Then, in unison, they saluted me, crisp and deliberate, in front of everyone. The crowd froze. My chest tightened. I hadn't been saluted since Baghdad. Ethan's stream captured it all, his chat erupting. They saluted him. "Your family's done." Cynthia stammered. "Officers, he's the problem." Martinez shut her down. "Ma'am, we don't arrest heroes for living in their homes." He revealed he'd served in Afghanistan. Thompson's dad was Army. Their respect was a brotherhood Cynthia couldn't touch. Greg arrived, expecting to call shots, but Martinez's stare stopped him cold. "Detective, you dismissed this vet's harassment complaints," he said, voice like steel. "That's a civil rights issue." Thompson added, "We're reporting this." Greg's face collapsed, his career flashing before his eyes. The aftermath was swift. Ethan's stream went viral for humiliating his family. His college offer vanished. Greg faced an internal probe, demoted to a desk job, his badge tarnished. Cynthia resigned as HOA president, crushed in a landslide election, and fled town. The neighborhood changed. New HOA rules banned discriminatory enforcement. Veterans formed a permanent network, ensuring no one fights alone. I'm now HOA treasurer, building a community where respect trumps prejudice. 6 months later, Willow Creek's lawns still gleam, but the vibe's different. Neighbors smile, not snoop. Henry brings cookies, not dossiers. I got my quiet life, but it took a war and one HOA bully to earn it. Justice didn't just knock, it stormed in with salutes and handcuffs for the real villains. What would you do if your neighbor tried to run you out for your skin color? Would you stay cool or fight fire with fire? Should cops back veterans over entitled locals? Or is that bias too? Drop your wildest justice story below. I read everyone. If this hit you, smash that like button and subscribe for more real-life drama. Share this with someone who loves karma served hot.